What's up, college football fans? Don't forget to check out and order your copy of Stiff Arming Football Myths, our latest football game plan book. So go on our website at footballgameplan.com/books and get your copy. We have these available in paperback as well as in PDF form.
Now let's start with some coaching points in this ball game. Looking at North Carolina State, they must communicate a lot better in the secondary. A lot of the big plays they give up is due to miscommunication between the cornerbacks, the safeties, the corners and linebackers and safeties. They have to do a better job in communicating versus UCF. And the offensive line has to be able to handle the blitz and the pressure that they're going to see from the Knights. They do a great job in applying pressure with their linebackers and their defensive ends, different stunts up front. And that offensive line of NC State has to do a better job of picking those up. And I would be alert for the screen game, this game versus UCF. They don't get the ball to the backs enough. I think this would be the perfect opportunity to do so. I think both tailbacks they have in the backfield are excellent receivers out of the backfield and can do a lot of damage in space. So I would be alert for the screens in this bowl game versus UCF. And for UCF in this ball game, I think they're going to have to execute a lot better offensively in the red zone. That's going to be the biggest key in this ball game. They do a great job on the defensive side, holding teams to 3 points. On the offensive side, they have to find ways to put the ball in the end zone versus NC State. And winning at the point of attack on both sides will be key. We know they can get pressure on the quarterback. We know they do a great job versus the run. Offensively, we know they can pass protect, but can they open up holes in the running game versus this Wolfpack defensive front? And I would actually take Jacoby Glenn, the outstanding cornerback that has 7 interceptions, and mirror him versus the freshman wide receiver Bo Hines. That's the number 1 option of Jacoby Brissett. Take away that number 1 option and force Brissett to go to other options consistently throughout the ball game. The biggest X factor in this ball game for the Wolfpack will be the play of their defensive line, and can they get pressure on the quarterback? They're going to have to disrupt the timing of Justin Holman, the quarterback of Central Florida, who tends to spot throw throughout the course of a ball game. So there's going to be opportunities for the secondary to pick off passes, but it all starts if those guys, Art Norman and company up front, can get into his face throughout the course of this ball game. The biggest X factor for the Knights in this ball game will be their ability to play contain on the defensive side of the ball. I talked about it earlier. Jacoby Brissett is a guy that does a very good job throwing the football, but he also is their second leading rusher. He tends to get outside of the pocket and creates plays with his legs, and also is able to pick up yards on the ground. So Cedric Thornton, Tony Creasy, Matt Diaz, all of those guys, including Brissett, contribute to the running game. And if they're able to play contain and force this to be a downhill game right to the waiting arms of linebacker Terrence Plummer, it bodes well for Central Florida's chances to knock off NC State. Now, here are some pro prospects you want to keep an eye on in this ball game, and trench warfare will be key for NC State, which is why you see a lot of their prospects on both sides of the line of scrimmage. Art Norman, Thomas Hill, 2 excellent defensive linemen, Tyson Chandler and Rob Crisp, outstanding tackle bookends that do a great job on both ends of offense. And for Central Florida, Ronell Hill is a talented wide receiver that's explosive. I like what I see out of Terrence Plummer, the inside linebacker, the Mike backer, plays it how he's supposed to play the position. And Brandon Alexander, a ball hawk with size at 6'2", 195. Center Jim Richer is definitely a campus legend. He was a 2-time consensus All-American. He won the Outland Trophy as a senior in 1979 and is only one of 3 ACC players to win the trophy, which is awarded annually to the nation's premier lineman. Brandon Marshall was a tremendous athlete for Central Florida. He played safety, actually started at safety for 7 games during the 2004 season due to injuries, and made his first collegiate start on October 4th versus Buffalo. But when he flipped back to the offensive side, he was outstanding. In the 2005 Hawaii Bowl, he had 11 catches for 210 yards and 3 touchdowns. And that season, which was his senior campaign, he finished with a team high in receptions 74, receiving yards with 1,195, and touchdowns 11. In the inaugural St. Petersburg Bowl back in 2008, the South Florida Bulls took on the Memphis Tigers, and led by quarterback Matt Grothy's 3 touchdown passes, South Florida was able to boat race Memphis 41-14. In the 1995 Peach Bowl, NC State took on Mississippi State. It was a great defensive effort by the Wolfpack. They held Mississippi State to 1 touchdown and 5 field goals on 6 Bulldog drives that reached the red zone, and they were able to capitalize in the fourth quarter by scoring the game-winning touchdown to win 20-24, pushing their record to 9-3, which tied a school record for wins. A defensive slugfest in the 2010 Liberty Bowl between UCF and Georgia, and this was a Georgia football team that came into this bowl game 6-5 on the season. And when you look at Central Florida, a late fourth quarter touchdown by Latavius Murray, who had 104 yards rushing on the day, earned him Liberty Bowl MVP honors and allowed the Knights to get their first bowl victory in program history. I like NC State in this ball game. I believe their ability to run the football, not only with the backs in the backfield, but also with Jacoby Brissett, and what they can do in the passing game as far as putting him on the move to combat that pressure, will cause a lot of problems for their UCF defense. And I think on the defensive side, they'll be able to keep UCF one-dimensional. I think they'll play the run on the way to the quarterback and put a lot of pressure on that passing game of the Knights and ultimately come away victorious in the 2014 St. Petersburg Bowl.